Hello folks, welcome to my channel Code with Infinite. In this tutorial, you will learn about what are variables and data types in Java. So without a further ado, let's get started. You have seen this kind of code, right? Int a equal to 10. So over here, int is called as data type. A, which is a variable, which can be any variable name, A, B, C, anything you can give for that, that is called as a variable name. 10 over here is data or value. Equal to over here is something called as operator. So in this tutorial, we'll learn about data type, variable, data and value. The operator we'll see in the next video. So what are really is data types? So from data types, we can determine or infer what type of data or value a variable can store and also of what size. So if there is a variable say A or B or C, so that variable A, B or C can store what kind of value? Either say it can store 10 or it can store a character say A or C or B or a boolean value true or false. So what kind of data a variable can store in Java? That can be determined by the data type. Also of what size? So for example, if I am storing 10, so that is an integer value, right? So integer value can range till infinite. So there are different data types of different integer type to store different kind of integer value according to the range of the data. So if you are storing a big data, a big numeric value, so for that we'll be having a different data types. So from data types, you can determine a variable can store what kind of data and of what size. To simplify this, let's take a real-time example. So normally we have a jar or container in our home, right? So say there is a 1 kg of jar or container. So in that 1 kg of jar or container, what you can store? So say that I can just store on this container a 1 kg of jam. Okay. So over here, jam is your type, the type of data that you can store in your container. And the container is the type of the data type. So over here in the 1 kg container, it will refer to something called as data type, which is int over here in this example. The jam over here is type of data that you can store. So I can, in 1 kg of container, you can store a jam or say pickle. Can you store say a huge rock in 1 kg of container? No, right? So the type of data also matters. And in this example, the jam will refer to your data or value, which is 10 over here in this expression, int a equal to 10. So in Java, we have different kind of data types and developer use those data type according to their need on basis of what kind of data they want to store in their variable and on the basis of the size of the data they want to store. So let us first see what are different kind of data types in Java. Data types are divided into two types, primitive and non-primitive. The non-primitive one we'll see in the upcoming courses. It will not be of part of your course in this tutorial. What does primitive mean? In the Latin meaning of primitive is not developed. So this primitive data type, a kind int that we have seen in the earlier expression, these are not developed by the Java developers. Those are data types which are inbuilt in your programming language Java. So any data types that you don't develop it and it is inbuilt, it is called as primitive data type. Now these two data types, primitive and non-primitive, are divided into subcategories. So let us see them. So we have primitive data types. So in primitive data types, we have numeric and non-numeric. So when I say numeric, any kind of numerical value that you want to store, be it a decimal or a integeric value. So that comes under numeric. Non-numeric is, say I want to store a character A, E, any kind of, say, vowel character A, E, I, O, U you want to store. So that is a character if you want to store, or say a boolean value true or false. So this kind of will be categorized into non-numeric ones. So numeric we have integeric and then we have decimal. So either integeric means you can store a integer value which is 1, 2, 3, 4 till infinite without a decimal value. If you want to store a decimal kind of value or data, say 1.1, 1.2, then there is a data type called as decimal. So integeric is divided into 4 subcategories. First is byte, next we have is short, then we have int, and then we have long. Now this integeric is why it is divided into 4 categories. It is because we can store integer value only, but on the basis of the range of data, how big the data is, it is divided into 4 subcategories: byte, short, int, long. Now decimal is divided into 2 subcategories: float and double. Again, what is the kind of or the range of data? On the basis of that, we have 2 kind of data types in decimal: float and double. Then we have non-numeric, where we can store characters, and then we have the other type in non-numeric is boolean, where we can store true or false. Now let's see what are the range of these data types, like what is the biggest value that we can store in this data types. So 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. The range of, or I can say is, the size of byte data types is 1 byte, short is 2 byte, int is 4 byte, long is 8 byte. So you have to remember this, like byte, short, int, long, and then we have it 1 byte, 2 byte, the double of it is 4 byte, the double of that is 8 byte. So you can remember this byte size. In decimal we have float, which is 4 byte, double is 8 byte, then the non-numeric we have character whose size is 2 byte. The boolean over here is 1 bit, it's not byte, do not mistake over here, it is just 1 bit. All the values or all the size of the data type is in byte except for boolean. For boolean it is 1 bit. Now we have seen what are the different kinds of data types and their size, right? Now let us see what is the range of each data types. So the range is, or to calculate this range of each data type, you do not have to remember this. We have a formula. The formula is on the top right corner, minus, that is, this part is starting range from minus 2 plus whatever this formula gives. So minus 2 to the power bits, like in this byte we have 1 byte, right? So we have 8 bits. So if you are calculating for byte, minus the starting range will be minus 2 to the power 8 bits divided by 2, whatever the value that you get, minus, like that will be the starting range, 2 to the power bits, like 8 divided by 2, and then from this value you just subtract 1. Why you are subtracting 1? Because in between you have a value 0, right? So for that we are subtracting minus 1. So this will be the starting range and this part is the ending range. So for like byte, it's minus 122 to 127. So beyond anything, if you are trying to store in this data type which is of byte, and if you are trying to store any data beyond this value, it will give you a compilation error. Let's check that quickly. So what I am doing is I have two classes, first code and second code. From first code, I'm creating an object of second code class and calling a method variable types. Okay, so let's create a variable byte a equal to 10, and we can see so, or let it be. You just do one thing. You can see that you are not getting any compilation error as of now, right? So if I try to change the value is 129, say, what is the range of this byte? It was 127, right? So it gets a compilation error saying that cannot convert from int to byte because this kind of data lies in the range of int kind of data type. So you are getting a compilation error. If you store 127, there will be no compilation errors. So you can store till the range of the data type in that corresponding data type or variable. Similarly, you can calculate your range for short, int, long. For float, the range is after decimal you can have till 6 to 7 decimal values. For double, you can have till 16 decimal values. So if you are having a data which has to store a decimal value till say more than 8, then in that case we'll be using double and not float. Then we have character. So in character you can store one single character. What are characters? Like a group of character forms a word. Like there is a range, it's a word, right? So each character is RANG is a character. So you can store each character in your char data type. Now boolean 1 bit is the size. You can either store true or false. Now let's see how do you declare the data type or a variable. How do you declare a variable in Java? So this is how you declare a variable in Java. Byte a, data type variable name semicolon, data type variable name semicolon, sort is the data type, a is the variable and then semicolon, int is the data type, a is the variable and then semicolon. This is how you declare it. Let's declare them. Say int a, int is data type, a is variable and semicolon. So this is giving you a warning like you have declared it but you are not using it. Now there is one thing over here. This variable you are declaring inside a method, right? Variable data types is a method. So what is the scope of this variable? The scope is, it is method level variable, or you can say that it's a local variable to a method. So this variable can only be accessed within this method itself. Like this method starts from here, end here, only over here you can access it. Now if you declare this variable outside this method over here, now this is global scope, or you can say class level scope, or you can say instance variable. So you will be learning about different scope of variables in upcoming video. I'm just giving an overview of scope of variable where you can declare it. Either you can declare it at class level or at method level. So if you declare over here, you can use it anywhere. You can use it in method, you can use it outside it. Now let's see what is the default value of each variables. Default value means is like this is a variable a, right? So if I just sys out a, you haven't stored any data or value into a, right? And you are trying to print it. The output that you get is called as the default value of each variable. So over here you are getting as 0. So for int, the default value is 0. Similarly, all data types will have some kind of default value. For boolean, if you use boolean, it will be false. For char, right, the default value is null. So in output, you don't get any output because null will not get printed in your console. So all the data type of numeric type, byte, short, int, long, their default value is 0. The default value of float or double is 0.0 f. F means float. For double it is 0.0 d. D means double. For char it's null, which we have seen. For boolean it's false. So these are the default values. Now you have seen about the default value. You have seen how do we declare a variable. Now let's see how do you store some data or value into a variable, which is called as initialization. And if you do declaration and initialization in one line, so it's called as declaration and initialization, like it's done byte a equal to 1, right? So declaration of variable and initialization of value is done in one single line. So this is called as declaration of variable. Now if you do a equal to 10, so this is called as initialization of variables. Line number 5 is called as declaration of variables. So now you have initialized it. Let's try to print it. You get an output as 10. The same can be done is like a equal to 10 over here. Now let's comment this. Save it. You get value as 10. So in one line only you can declare it and initialize a variable, or either you can just declare a variable and then you can initialize it like this. Okay. Now with respect to variables, there are some rules, or we can say naming convention, that one developer should follow when creating a variable name in Java. What are the rules of variable name? Let's see that. The first is you should not create a variable like A, B or C. You should always give a meaningful name. Like for example, if you are having say a variable which stores the count of subscriber of your YouTube channel, so you should not use like int C equal to 0 or something. You should use as int subscriber of YouTube count equal to 0. Why should you give a meaningful name? Is because other developer can understand or decode your code easily. So that is very basic naming convention or rule of variables. What are other rules of variables? Let's check that. First is your variable can contain lowercase, uppercase, digits which range between 0 to 9 and two special character. One is underscore and the other is dollar. Apart from that, it should not contain any character. Next is your variable names are case sensitive. When I say case sensitive, it means that if you are creating a variable name, say int count subscriber count, okay, let's create another variable int subscriber count. So these two variables are different variables, although the name or the way you spell it, like, or the way you pronounce it, subscriber count, is the same, but you can see the casing, right? Over here this C is capital, this C is small, so the casing is different. So that is called as case sensitive. Until unless all the cases are not same, the variables names are not considered to be same. So if you make them same, it will give you an error saying that you cannot have two variables with same name. Okay, like duplicate field subscriber count. The next rule is in the variable name, the keywords are not allowed. What are keywords? Keywords are the words that are already defined in Java, like public, class, right, int, void. So these are the words that are already defined in Java. So these are called as reserved words. So reserved words you cannot use as a variable name in Java or any language. You cannot use them because the compiler will get confused. So there is a rule on that. The next rule is, although you can have digits in your variable name which is from 0 to 9, a variable name should not start from digits. You can start a variable name from lowercase, uppercase, underscore, and but it should not start from digits. Let's check that too. So let me start this variable name with 9. So it will give you an error. So let's start with underscore. With underscore it can be done. Let's start with dollar. With dollar it can be started. Variable's name can have digits but not as a starting character. In between you can use like 9, there is no error. At the end also you can use 9, there is no error. It should not start with a digit. The last one is that it should have a meaningful name, which for that I have already given you an example. Like if you are having a variable as to store a value of subscriber count, it should be like subscriber count and not like C, A, B and all. And the other is, it is the variable name should follow camel casing. Now what do you mean by camel casing? You have seen camels, right? They are flat, then they have a hump, and then they are flat. So that is called as a camel casing. So if you see these variables I have created, the first one, it's flat, all small. Then there is hump, which is capital letter, and then again flat, which are all the characters are small. So this is one naming convention that you should follow, that variable name should be camel casing. Start with small, and then if there are two words in your variable name, like I have subscriber count, then each word, to differentiate them, there will be a hump in between, and that hump is a capital letter, which is over here subscriber and count are two words, so the hump is capital C. Okay, so till now we have seen that what are data types, what are variables, what are data value, what are default values of variables, what are size, range of data types, how do you declare a variable, how do you initialize them, right? Now on the basis of that, I'm giving an exercise to do, solve it and post your answer in the comment below. I will surely check them. So there are 5 variables, my num1 till my num5, storing different kind of data. You have to just tell me or write in before of each variable what will be the data type of this kind of variables. The second exercise is, you will declare variables in the first step, age, height, gender, phone number. In the second step, you will initialize them with the value that I have given. For gender, you can use either M or F. Then in the third step, you can display them using the sysout. So do post your code in the comments. So that's all for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we'll see about operators in Java. So operators are like, you have seen one in this tutorial, right? Equal to we are using, so that is an operators. So there are different kinds of operator in Java. We'll see all of them in the next tutorial. Thank you for being with me till end. If you have gained some knowledge out of this video, do give me a like or subscribe to my channel and do share with your friends. If you have any doubt, you can post them in the comments. Thank you.